Good evening. Emanating from San Francisco to the world, this is live from the left coast. Hey, I'm Angie Coiro. Thank you for tuning in on this Monday evening. Nice to have you here. We have such a wonderful lineup tonight. That's the kind of cliche people engage in all the time, right? Not me. I really do have a wonderful lineup ready for you. The first story is a tad bit unbelievable. We're going to be talking to our regular guest, Gotta Laugh, who is one of the powers behind the political carnival. We're going to be talking to her about a story that you absolutely will not believe. And then you have to say, yeah, that's America, for better or for worse. Think about an auction for an accused murderer. That's as much as I'm going to tell you right there. And tonight on KRXA in Monterey as well. Good evening to you, and good evening again to one of our favorite guests. And before we get into tonight's topic with her, Laffy, nice to have you back.
It's your little demented sidekick, Buttercup.
You remind me so much of the voices I used to hear in my head before they took me to a doctor.
Oh, no, I still have them in my head. You just transferred them over.
Gotta Laugh is also known as Laffy, and she is one of the powers behind the political carnival. And before we get into tonight's topic, Miss Reporter Buttercup, we have to let people know that you are now going to be a regular guest on the show beginning Friday nights at 6:45. You better bring it, you know.
I'm going to corrupt all of you. All of you are going to get as demented as I am. It'll be so much fun.
Oh, we've done the corruption. You just have to do dementation, if that's a verb.
Dementation. Yes, I will make sure to do that, and I'll try to push it through the airways so everybody gets it.
Well, we're stealing one of your topics that we would have used this week. What I'm going to be doing with Laffy is she's going to be, as she does with her blog, she's going to be collecting the very serious, very silly, very bad, very good news of the week, and roll it all up in a big jumble and bring it all to us on Friday nights. So that's what everyone has to look forward to, so they can plan to either be at their radios or turn them off at that time. And this topic would have made the worst of the week, but we couldn't wait to talk about it. There is, of course, a man, I was going to say gentleman and stop myself. There's a man who is in prison awaiting trial on assassinating Dr. George Tiller. There's not a whole lot of dispute that this is the man in question. It'll be interesting to see what his response is. You uncovered something out of the Kansas City Star that I dropped my jaw and it's still on the floor.
Oh, my God. Well, Patty dug it up. She's really good at digging stuff up. That's my co-editor. And she throws them over to me, and then I make them sort of silly and goofy. And this one, though, it's got this, this really serious undertone, but I couldn't help goofing off with it a little bit. It's a group of anti-choicers who are going to have an auction on eBay to raise money for the defense of Scott Roeder. And I'm so glad you stopped using the word gentleman. I hate when people do that when it's about a guy who is not a gentleman. He's a killer. And one of the things they're doing is they're having an online bake sale. They're going to have an online bake sale, and they're gonna instead of pro-life cupcakes, they're going to have prison cheesecake. A whole lot of people are going to get fat and have to go on diets just for this guy.
What, doesn't prison cheesecake include the file that you send in there too, or is it something digital these days?
I think it's fileless cheesecake. I think it's a special prison recipe because if they get caught, then they can't sell it, and it's a big deal. And there goes their whole idea. But they're doing they have the weirdest things. They're selling drawings by Roeder and by other people in prison, and it's so funny. One of the quotes in this article is one of those anti-choicers says, "These are wonderful pencil art drawings. They were done in jail." And I'm like, wow. So what's next? Are we going to have one from hell? I mean, why are they excited about that? What is that? And what are they going to do next? They're going to sell this stuff on eBay, like where you usually see Malibu Barbie collections. They're going to have vigilante Barbies?
And it's talk about the content of some of those pictures. I mean, this is not. But it gets to a certain point where laughing is out of the question. I mean, part of it is you laugh because otherwise you'd cry, but this is beyond both.
Oh, no, I know. It's so jaw-dropping that at first I just was stunned. I had to read the article like 3 times. And then I started laughing and making little jokes, and then I started getting really serious, So one of the things is they're having an autograph, not just a drawing now, but an autograph drawing of David and Goliath. And David is holding Goliath's head, and etched in the forehead is the name Tiller. In his forehead, and then on the corpse that's lying on the ground, on the dead guy, the pro-life people
wow.
have had written child murdering industry. So I'm assuming the stimulus is indeed working if it's an entire industry, but that's another story. They made such grotesque drawings, and they're using that to profit, and then they're using the profits to get this guy a defense.
Well, I'm almost glad to hear that that's what that picture looks like, because we called eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want to free somebody up to come on the air, or they were unable to, or for whatever reason. They're not on the air with us tonight. But they do have an offensive material policies. They do have the statement that they came out to the Kansas City Star in the story that you linked to. And by the way, we've got that link up on our blog right now, which is lftlc.com/live. You can see exactly the story that Laffy's talking about, and the link to her live blog, which is the Political Carnival, lftlc.com/live. And eBay had already made a statement to the Kansas City Star that says, we don't allow listings that promote or glorify violence, hate, racial or religious intolerance. We don't allow items that encourage, promote, facilitate, or instruct others to engage in illegal activity. They talk about offensive policies, offensive materials. They won't be a platform. But here, in their offensive material policies, although they won't be specific about this case, this is very specific. It says items encouraging violence toward a specific person and any item that glorifies or promotes violence toward animals or humans.
Right.
So
right.
eBay's not saying, hey, we're not going to let this thing launch. I suspect that's their downfall right there, those two rules.
Yeah, I can't imagine they could let it launch after that. I'm reading it. eBay would not reveal whether eBay would permit the auction to launch. Why would they? Why would they promote that? Why? And the bad publicity is not worth it. No. I mean, for it to blow up into a bigger story because of eBay would not be a good thing for eBay. I don't care. They say all publicity is good. This is not good publicity. And another thing I don't get, if we can move on just a little bit to something else that bothers me, and that is, these are people that the Republicans tend to, or the conservatives, tend to woo. And I'm trying to think, there's polls for where they poll men and women and youth. What are they going to poll killers? Like, hey, we have the killer vote. We got 28% of that killer vote. Top that, Democrats. What? Why is this a good thing? Why is this the story? The way that these people are quoted, they're proud of what they're doing. I mean, come on, they were done in jail. Hey.
But you know what, Laffy? When you run out of everyone else, you have to go to the felons.
Yeah,
you
want that felon vote. That's important. Pretty soon they'll be selling little prison uniforms. I'm a Republican and I have this uniform. I really don't understand the logic behind this, and also the vigilantism. Well, we can justify this. This is justifiable homicide because this man killed babies. No, this man performed a medical procedure that is constitutionally okay.
Yes.
And you don't kill somebody because you disagree with that.
You best get careful, honey, because you're starting to attribute the ability to rationalize to people who just don't do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I thank you for bringing this to our attention. I'm glad people picked up on it. I hope you got credited this time, which I know is not always the case with blogs. But
not that I know of. I think Rachel Maddow is doing it on her show tonight. I have no idea even if they picked up on this on their own or if I managed to post this early. It's one of those times I would not know.
Hey, there's 6 degrees of separation. If she didn't attribute it to you, we know how to get to her.
Yeah, you tell them.
Right. Laffy, I cannot wait for our Friday night debut, and I'll see you at 6:45 promptly on Friday, and you're going to get paid the same huge amount of money we all get paid.
I'm going to get all dressed up for it, too, in my radio clothes.
You do that, honey. All right. That is Laffy Gotta Laugh from the Political Carnival. And she is going to join us for her new feature starting Friday night at 6:45.